So in this video, I am making a straightforward meditation guide teaching you what you really need to know if you want to actually have experiences and make progress. Most people cannot meditate because they have too many activity hormones running through their body and they're not being utilized. Activity hormones are hormones that are produced that stimulate your body into exercise. But if you're not exercising, they're going to manifest as anxiety or like you're just going to be thinking without your control. Your brain is just going to generate thoughts. So if you're meditating and you can't focus, well, unless you have a protein deficiency or too much sugar, then you have activity hormones. So if a protein deficiency, you suck a raw egg, wait 10 minutes, you no longer have a protein deficiency. Easy. Like if you haven't ate for 5 hours, you probably have a protein deficiency. Or if you had sugar, fruit in the first 6 hours of the day, which you should never do, then you're going to have sugar energy instead of protein. So if you eat meat, that's best. You'll get the energy going in about an hour, 30 minutes to an hour. It'll start kicking in, the protein. But if you do red meat, it's going to increase your activity hormones and make it harder to meditate. They talk about in the ancient yoga knowledge, the meditation knowledge, Buddhist, whatever, that meat can affect your meditations. It's because of activity hormones. You have to exercise. So if you're going to eat red meat, you need to exercise before you meditate, unless you have a very dynamic, powerful, high-energy meditation, which you're probably not going to be having if you're new. And by that, I mean a meditation where you're having intense focus and this powerful energy flowing through you, and it's just like an ecstatic, powerful, high adrenaline meditation. Most people are not going to have that when they start. So typically, chicken and fish is better to eat before you meditate, unless you exercise first. So if you eat red meat, you need to exercise. Any type of exercise you want. Jump rope, go for a walk, whatever. Go to the gym, anything. And so I mentioned the jump rope. Jump rope is very useful for meditation, for exercise. It's convenient. So I'm just letting you know, you eat red meat, you're going to have to exercise more. Even if you don't eat red meat before you meditate, you're still going to have to at least go for a walk, do some jump rope, stretch, whatever. So step one is warm up. Go for a walk, roller skate, ride a bike, jump rope, go to the gym, sing, dance, anything. And then after that, you're going to stretch adequately because it's going to help you relax your body. And when you get more relaxed, you're going to be able to have deeper experiences. Your blood is going to flow better. You're going to be more relaxed, So you're stretching in order to relax. Stretch for 5-10 minutes. You don't have to go super hard. Breathe deep into the stretches. And I'll make a video on the stretches soon that I like to do. And then you're going to sit cross-legged. Ideally, you can lay down on your back, but don't cross your legs if you're laying down. It has to be symmetrical. Can you see me? I'm not sure. Not sure if you can see me, but not sure if I'm out of frame. So you're going to sit still, hands in the middle, like this, or on your knees. Your hands can be on your knees, or your wrists, your forearms can be on your knees. I don't really do this. You could if you want. And you're going to breathe in a manner that induces relaxation. So what we're doing is setting up the meditative state. So all this is to set up the right circumstances to allow yourself to enter the meditative state. The meditative state is the goal. You want to enter the meditative state and hold it as long as possible. And when you're in that state, it feels amazing. And you're not going to access it every time you meditate. But when you do, you want to hold it and milk it as long as possible, because that's when the changes come. That's when you have the life-changing realizations. That's when you remember something that you haven't thought about in years. Or like you might have some responsibility that you forgot about even a month ago, and you meditate, and when you access the meditative state, it goes deep in your subconscious and it brings stuff up. Like you might remember something you completely forgot, and you're like, oh, it's just amazing, Or you might have some realization, or you just have a deep sense of peace. Like when you're taking a nap and you're so comfortable and you don't want to get up out of bed. You can get that like in a meditation. It's similar. It's a little different. Or you can have out-of-body experiences, all sorts of stuff. But don't be expecting to get that right away. But you can have profound experiences. And basically, you have to get into the state where your brain can release the chemical compounds that facilitate these experiences. So you're going to breathe in a manner that induces relaxation. So You need to learn how to breathe properly. You breathe through the belly. When you inhale, the belly grows. When you exhale, the belly shrinks. A lot of people don't know how to breathe properly. Put your hand on your belly button. Breathe in. Make your belly as big as it can. Then exhale. As much as you can. And then inhale. And if you haven't ever taken the time to really focus on your breathing, you need to go through a phase where you're taking your breathing seriously. Just take time every day, just 5-10 minutes, whatever. Breathe in through the belly. And exhale. And just do that. And that can even be a form of exercise. Because if you're breathing more intensely, deeper, more full than you normally do, that requires activity hormones. So if you go really intense, like, that can really ground you. Just gonna make sure the camera's still recording. So that can really ground you because you're exercising. You're exercising your diaphragm. So look, you're gonna learn to become flexible in your meditations. It's not always the same every time. I'm just giving you something to start with. So you exercised, you're active, you stretched, and now you're breathing in a manner to induce relaxation. This is getting ready to meditate still. The meditation comes after the breathing, essentially. This is just a certain way to look at it. Exercise, stretch, breathing, then you meditate. So we're not even meditating yet. You're just breathing. So the first 2, 5, 10 minutes, you're going to breathe in an audible manner where you can hear yourself breathing. Through the belly. And when you inhale through the belly, it might go into the chest a little bit after your belly becomes full, like this. But it doesn't start into the chest, it starts in the belly. And then so, like I said, breathe, breathe, breathe. As full as you can, exhale as much as you can. And it might even be tiring, but that's what you want. And then as you breathe over the course of a few minutes, breathe slower and slower, but still maintaining depth. And then, over the course of some minutes, you're going to not be able to hear yourself breathing anymore. It's going to be very quiet, but still very full. Slower and slower, more gentle, but always still being as full as possible. And then eventually you become so relaxed that either you stop thinking about your breathing, you forget about your breathing, or you just intentionally stop thinking about it, and then you just feel the space you created. So look, you warmed up, you stretched, now you breathed. This is about 30, 45 minutes into your practice. You exercised for 5, 10, 20 minutes. You stretched for 5 to 10 minutes, and now you just breathed for 5 or 10 minutes. Now, this is when you start your meditation. Try to hold it for at least 20 minutes. If you meditate for 5 minutes, hey, that's okay, better than none. And then so, feel the silence. Feel the emptiness. Most importantly, focus on your heart center, which is your sternum. It's basically like where your consciousness resides, in your chest. And attempt to generate the feeling of love and peace in your heart. It's warm. It's soft. And sometimes I feel jitters throughout my whole body when I focus on it. It's like it shakes throughout the whole body. And it just opens up. And you make it stronger and stronger as you practice. You become more capable of experiencing love. And as you go throughout your life, whenever you're upset, you focus on love. Every time you're upset, you have a problem, focus on love in your heart. That's where love comes from, the heart. It doesn't have to be your physical heart, but the sternum, the chest right here. And then you're just going to focus on love. Or you could focus on the sensation of emptiness, the sensation of nothingness. You can hear the little noises around you, like you're hyper aware. You can feel your heartbeat in your chest. You can feel the sensation of your breath. And then just notice what arises. Now, anytime you start to think, let go of your thought. Don't force yourself to not think with your willpower, because that's too intense. It's frustrating. You're not going to relax. You're not going to be able to relax if you're forcing yourself to stop thinking. You have to allow yourself to let go of your thoughts. You think about your homework. You think about whatever. You think about your girlfriend. Let it go. You take another breath. Your brain generates another thought. You let go. You exhale. As you exhale, everything is silent. You inhale and your brain generates a new thought and you let go of it. And eventually you can inhale without your brain generating a thought. And you might only be able to do that a few times. And you just keep going. And you just keep going. And every time you redirect your attention, you're performing a repetition just like you do in the gym. The only thing is you can't overtrain. Every repetition is getting you closer. And you're developing your brain. Like literally they do scientific scans of your brain and it grows in certain ways. And so you do this and you might get lucky. Just like you fall asleep, you can fall into a powerful state where it's just so relaxing, so peaceful. Everything becomes so clear. All your troubles, all your worries disappear. And you hold it as long as you can. And then as you practice, as time goes on, you'll be able to relax more quickly. You'll be able to have more profound experiences. Eventually, hopefully, you can have a spiritual awakening. Spiritual awakening is a switch flips in your brain. You just begin to understand things differently. And for me, it's like you see the flow of life. And through that, I developed faith. Because everything in life has a purpose. Every moment is significant. And everything that happens is part of the path. Nothing is random. Everything flows from one thing to the next. The experience of life you have is, you want to call it a journey? It's a path. And on that path, it's not random at all. And with that, it's like, what's his name? I don't remember. It was a video about, I'll just say what it was about. So basically, they described that anytime you are in a circumstance in your life, whether it's a relationship, a job, anything, no matter what it is, the moment you realize and you know for a fact in your heart that it is not aligned with what you're supposed to be doing, you immediately leave that situation. You move on immediately. Because every moment that you stay in that situation that you know you're not supposed to be in, you are waiting to grow as a person. Once you realize what you need to do, every moment you wait is essentially you holding yourself back from growing as a person. And how I'm at in my life now is I could see myself in a situation that I know is not healthy, and I would rather be homeless and sleep on the street than spend time in a situation I know is unhealthy, because I have faith that things will be okay. I will meet somebody who will help me. I've also developed a lot of relationships online, and I have a lot of people who care about me now, and I've put in the work for that. And the thing is, you might be in an unhealthy situation, but part of you knows that you might have to wait because it'd be more unhealthy to leave. But this is where it gets complicated. This is where you have to meditate in order to develop your intuition and your instincts. You don't think about it logically, you feel. But you have to combine your logic into it also. And so, just imagine someone leaving a toxic situation and being homeless on the street. Let's just take the situation of if this person is a woman. They could get hurt or abused. And this is where it gets difficult. Here's the thing. I would like to believe that any dangerous situation that anybody has ever been in, at one point they had a bad feeling before it happened and they didn't trust it. The more you meditate, the more spiritually aware you are, the stronger that feeling is and the sooner you realize it. So maybe maybe it's a freak accident and sometimes it's karmic. But that's a whole thing to get into. And I know a lot of people wouldn't like hearing that because it implies you don't have a choice. But I think some things are up to destiny, but that's a whole different thing to get into. There's also the idea that you can bypass certain karmas. But the point is this. You meditate, you develop that instinct. If there's something wrong, you'll sense it more intensely and sooner. And so with that, having faith, you don't allow yourself to be in toxic situations. You have faith. Faith in the understanding that everything is part of the plan. It's part of the path. And here's another part of it. Your experience, your circumstances in life is a reflection of where you are as a soul. And by leaving a toxic situation, your soul evolves. And you're not going to be without a circumstance. Life will fill it in for you. You leave a circumstance, life will fill it in for you with a new one that matches where your frequency is. That's one way to look at it. And that's why I prioritize my internal development. Because through that, I manifest the external. You try to focus on manipulating the external while neglecting what happens within yourself. You might win the lottery, but you might not actually be happier. You might have an easier life. You might have more comforts and more pleasures, but it'll fade. And more comfort and more pleasure does not equal more peace. It does not equate to more satisfaction and fulfillment in life. And like I've mentioned previously, my goal is to become a more capable person of adding value to other people's lives. That's what I care about, being able to help people on a greater level. And in order to do that, I have to gain more wisdom. I have to learn more. And part of that is meditating, so I can become less biased. If you're biased and someone comes to you for advice, you're going to tell them something based off of a bias. You're going to tell them what you want them to believe for your own benefit. You're going to project your own needs onto them. But through meditation, you become less judgmental, less biased. You see things how they are. You can give better advice for what they need. Or even then, on one perspective, it's not even about giving advice. It's just being present. Being present, being a true mirror. What mirroring somebody is being a clean slate, no bias, no judgment. They speak to you and you're fully present and you listen to them. You're not coloring their experience with your own, you just observe how they feel. You can acknowledge how they feel without telling them something about your opinion. You could say that it reminds you of something, but like if they say something and then something pops up in your mind suddenly, you could share that. But is it coming from a place of ego and projection? Are they touching a part of you? Or are you having an intuitive experience? Are you intuitively understanding something? Are you being a messenger from God? I'm hesitant to say the word God often because people generally have a different perspective of what God is to me, but you could be connecting to God and telling this person what they need to hear in that moment because God told you, if you want to think about it like that. And you told them exactly what they needed to hear. But I believe in God, yes, it's just different. It's that the universal divine intelligence that orchestrates everything, that everything is a part of, that is the fabric of reality. That you were brought to this person in this exact moment in order to help them realize this one thing, and you thought of it while they were talking to you. It popped up in your mind without thinking. And you share that. When you meditate, you have these experiences more often, these intuitions. And even then, someone will speak to you. When someone is speaking, honestly, they're opening their heart to you. They're opening their aura, their energy. And by doing that, you are experiencing them. It's not the words they say, it's the fact of them energetically opening up. And through that, your intuition can decipher their energy and put it into English, put it into language to say what you can sense what they are missing. You can sense something inside of their energetic field that needs to be addressed, that they might not be aware of. And with them communicating, it's not the words they say, it's the energy you feel. The fact of them communicating opens themselves up to you. And when you meditate, you become more intuitive. You can do these things. You can understand these things without thinking about it. It's not about thinking about their problems, how to solve their problems. It comes to you. Or even then, just sitting, listening with them, your energy being clean and pure, not judging, not projecting anything. You're just a clean source of life energy that has love. When they open up to you, their energy mixes with you, and you clean their energy. their energy becomes more clear because they have their energetic aura mixing with yours, and yours brings clarity to it. It brings light into their energy. Making sure my camera's recording. And then so through that, you don't even have to give any opinions to this person. This person could be thinking, and they come and ask you for advice, and they tell their story, and they realize they didn't even have to ask you anything, and they realized what the answer to their problem was without you even saying anything, because your presence allowed that, because you were not judging them. You were not being biased. You were just listening to them fully with your heart open. So a lot of people have lack of self-esteem because they think they lack value, or they don't think they're smart or handsome or whatever. They don't think they're attractive. Here's the thing. The most valuable thing you could ever do for anybody ever, and the best possible thing, is to be purely in the heart with no bias or no judgment whatsoever. To just be completely present. Because the greatest thing you could ever do for somebody is to heal them. Or to, not you heal them, but be a reminder of how we're supposed to be. Or to be that perfect mirror. By them being with you, by you being that perfect energy to the best of your ability, they, speaking to you, will show light on their issues. It will, you believe in Christ and you become saved because you believe in his love, because God knows everything, Jesus knows everything, for the Christians out there, to make it clear for you, or for people, to explain. When you believe in Jesus, you're believing in the fact that he could love you. And by you believing he could love you, you forgive yourself. Because that energy of love and forgiveness, through faith, you have faith that Christ loves you. You believe it. And with that, you create it within yourself. And so, let's say you have discolorations in your energetic field. You have problems subconsciously. You have traumas, whatever. You have ignorance, naivety. You have some lacks within yourself or some toxicity. You're with that perfect mirror. Or you become that mirror within yourself. You create that object of Christ in your consciousness. You believe in Christ. You create that third party inside of yourself. Or you meet somebody who does the same thing. So, point being, the best value you can provide is by being that for somebody else. They would just gain clarity and heal from being around you. It's better than giving them money. It's better than anything. It's better than teaching them, because they are changing the deepest part of themselves, which changes everything. Yes, donating to charity. I don't believe in most charities. Most charities are scams. But being charitable when it's with good intention, not because of your ego, it could be good. It could be remedial. It can help your 12th house in astrology, for example. So here's an interesting thing. Everything that happens in life, you can kind of see with astrology. And so receiving money can be seen astrologically. And the same thing goes with you giving money. So you can activate certain planets and stuff by giving money. That's a whole other thing. But and that I could talk about that a little bit. Talk about the energy of how you act. If you give money out of ego, it's not a good thing. Everything you do, the energy behind it is what matters. How do you feel when you do it? Why are you doing it? That's what really matters. And that's something I've talked about a little bit recently. I'll mention it again. If you're making a decision, are you doing it because you're fearful? That's not good. But if you know there's something you need to do, but you're scared to do it and you do it anyway, that is overcoming fear, not living in fear. You can live in spite of fear, be afraid to do something and do it anyway because it's what you're supposed to do, or you could do something because you're scared of something. Two different things. And so I think that's a good amount of discussion for this video. I'm just going to go through my document right here, see if there's anything I missed. I just freestyled this. I just wanted to clarify that being mindful is not the same as meditating. You need to sit down and meditate. When you're walking, you're not meditating. It's being mindful. It's different. It's useful, but it's not meditating. Meditating is its own thing. You cannot move and meditate at the same time. So a lot of these profound experiences you're not going to have unless you meditate. Being mindful, being aware is good, but you need to meditate. Don't think that you're already meditating unless you're sitting or laying down still. And here's some other tips. So if you're meditating and you're becoming ADHD, or you want to move and you're having trouble focusing, like I said, you breathe intensely, I get exercise, and you slow down. Bring the breaths back up. Take 20 deep, powerful breaths. and then slowly go down again. You doing those breaths will burn some activity hormones really quick. If you're bored and you want to quit meditating, breathe more intensely. And here's some other things. In the very beginning of the meditation, get comfortable. If you want to move a little bit in the beginning, get comfortable. If you have an itch the first few minutes, it's okay to move. But after you're done doing the breathing and you're relaxed, try not to move at all. You can snap yourself out of the spiritual state. You can snap yourself out of these experiences. But when you're going to be exercising, stretching, and then breathing. But once you're done breathing and once you've gotten comfortable in your position, try not to move. But if 5 minutes go by and you're super uncomfortable and you know it's going to mess up your ability to relax, adjust. But don't just keep adjusting the whole time, because if you don't sit still for long enough, you're not really going to experience anything. But if you're still getting repetitions in, even if you're moving, you're still making progress in your brain development scientifically. But you might not have the powerful experiences, but you're still making progress towards being capable of doing that. So don't give up, have faith. And let me see, if you get tired while meditating, like your back is tired, you can relax your back. And then you can meditate like that for a while. And if you're tired of sitting down, then you can lay down on your back and meditate. And then if you want to meditate even longer, then you can sit back up again after your back got a break. And if you just want to get super spiritual XP points, like a video game, like just level up really fast, you can just meditate and go on a walk over and over. Meditate as long as you can. When you're bored, wake up, eat some food, go on a walk, and then meditate and do a little bit of stretching again. You don't have to stretch every time, but walk, eat, meditate, and repeat. You could do that all day, every day, and just make tons of progress with your development if you wanted to. And I'm going to talk about some other advice in another video, which you should watch. You should be watching all my videos, to be honest. I'm going to talk about the importance of having a clean room and setting up the energy, the feng shui, the vastu, the energetic structure, the layout of your room is very important. And even the clothes you wear and the style of your hair and your beard and the jewelry you wear, all of that plays a role in this. If you wear a watch, take it off while you're meditating. Yeah. And I recommend watching The Other Side NDE on YouTube. It's helpful for, just understanding spirituality in general, like the purpose of life, these out-of-body near-death experiences. And so as you develop your spiritual prowess, as you meditate, you're going to develop your spiritual prowess, your psychic ability, your intuitive abilities, like I mentioned earlier. And I'm going to talk about psychedelics in another video, but they can play a role in the practice. They have for me. And just find what works for you. You don't have to follow the exact structure I laid out, but it's very solid. And many people have never had a spiritual experience, never had a sober, altered state of consciousness. You'll be less likely. These people are less likely to take it seriously, which is why sometimes psychedelics can play a role, because they can open you up to it. But you got to put the work in. Meditating one time is not really going to do anything. It could, but I recommend meditating every day, preferably at the same time every day, ideally before the sun rises. It's way more powerful if you do it before the sun rises. And so meditate every day for 40 days. 40 days is a sadhana period. Sadhana meaning spiritual practice period. If you want the true benefits, you have to do 40 minutes every day at the same time every day. You don't have to do it exactly like that, but that is what is ideal. So if you're actually going to give it a try, warm up, stretch, breathe, meditate. It's like a 40, 60-minute window every day, once a day. You could do 30, 40 minutes total. And good amount of information in there. And I'll leave the rest to the next video.